It's all covered in today's China Truths.
Hello everyone, this is China Truths. Tonight we are not talking about slogans, projections, or carefully polished press releases. We are talking about what happens when numbers stop matching reality, when a nation built on statistics begins to crack under its own weight. China is not just another economy, it is the second largest economy in the world, the manufacturing hub of the planet, in a country whose rise, or fall, will reshape global history. That is precisely why the truth about China matters so much. Every powerful nation is measured by two things above all else: how many people it has and how much real economic value those people produce. In China, both numbers are officially enormous. And yet, for years, they have existed behind a fog so dense that even insiders struggle to see through it. Growth figures are celebrated, population counts are repeated like sacred scripture, and dissenting voices are quietly erased. But now that fog is thinning, and what is emerging beneath it is deeply unsettling. In late December, Chinese leader Xi Jinping declared with confidence that China's economy would grow by around 5% in 2025. On paper, that sounds reassuring, but in reality, almost no serious analyst outside China believes it. Not because they are hostile to China, but because the data simply does not add up. Behind closed doors, even some Chinese economists know this. Publicly, very few dare to say it. At the end of last year, the American research firm Rhodium Group released a report that sent shockwaves through financial circles. After examining investment flows, industrial output, and consumption trends, their conclusion was blunt. China's real GDP growth is likely closer to 2.5 to 3%. In other words, barely half of what Beijing claims. And the engine that once powered China's miracle, fixed asset investment, has been sputtering badly, especially in the second half of the year. Some experts go even further. Professor Frank Xie of the University of South Carolina argues that even 2.5% may be too generous. According to him, China's domestic consumption has been badly damaged, and the economy is now leaning dangerously on exports alone. When consumption collapses and debt expands, growth becomes an illusion. From this perspective, a 5% target is not ambitious, it is fictional. For decades, the world has argued about what China really is. Is it a technological superpower on the verge of overtaking the West? Or is it a fragile giant, impressive on the surface but hollow inside? A recent book published by Oxford University Press cuts straight through this debate. Its message is simple but devastating. Production volume does not equal power. Profit ownership does. China manufactures a staggering share of the world's goods. But when the profits are counted, China keeps only a tiny slice, around 6%. The United States, by contrast, captures more than half. The iconic example is the iPhone. It may be assembled in Chinese factories by Chinese workers, but the wealth, the intellectual property, and the technological control flow almost entirely back to America. This imbalance is even more obvious in advanced technology. Take the semiconductor industry. The most sophisticated chip-making machines on Earth are built by the Dutch company ASML. Yet roughly 85% of the key components inside those machines come from the United States and its allies. China cannot reproduce them. It cannot replace them. And without them, entire sectors of China's tech ambitions grind to a halt. The same pattern repeats in China's electric vehicle boom. On the surface, the numbers look spectacular. In 2025, China is expected to sell 27 million cars, surpassing Japan and claiming the title of the world's largest auto market. But look beneath the surface, and the story changes. Price wars have crushed margins. Losses are spreading. Among China's largest automakers, more than half are bleeding cash. Sale without profit is not success. It is a trap. Meanwhile, Japan's Toyota alone earns more profit than China's entire auto industry combined. And as subsidies expire and tax breaks disappear, 2026 may become a brutal year of reckoning. Many Chinese car makers simply may not survive. When official data becomes unreliable, researchers turn to unconventional tools. One of the most revealing comes from space. By analyzing satellite images of nighttime lights, scientists can estimate real economic activity. The brighter the lights, the more energy is consumed, the more people are working, buying, and living. These images tell a story that official statistics cannot hide. They suggest that China's true economic scale may be far smaller than advertised, perhaps only half that of the United States. Numbers on spreadsheets can be adjusted, cities glowing at night cannot. Inside China, those who point this out take enormous risks. In December 2024, Gao Shanwenyan, chief economist at Angsen Securities, publicly stated that China's real growth rate was closer to 2%. His words spread quickly. And then, just as quickly, he disappeared from public discussion. According to reports, authorities were furious. An investigation was launched. Silence followed. In today's China, truth is dangerous. While macro numbers are polished and repackaged, everyday life tells a harsher story. Consumption is falling. People are buying cheaper goods, delaying purchases, and cutting back wherever they can. On Chinese social media, stories of factories shutting down overnight are everywhere. Owners vanish. Wages go unpaid. Workers are left staring at locked gates. In January, in Xi'an's high-tech industrial development zone, workers blocked entrances to demand their salaries. One woman, held back by police, screamed in despair that she could not marry, could not buy a home, could not afford medical care, and after decades of work, had nothing to show for it. Her voice echoed far beyond that street. It captured the silent collapse of expectations for millions. This suffering is no longer limited to migrant workers. Teachers, civil servants, and state employees, once protected by the so-called Iron Rice Bowl, are now facing delayed salaries and unpaid benefits. Even Shenzhen, long portrayed as China's most successful city, is revealing cracks. At night, homeless people sleep near bus terminals. By day, they hide to avoid being chased away. In markets, elderly citizens line up in the early hours of the morning just to secure a spot to sell vegetables. Economist Zhang Junye recently published a scathing analysis. He argued that even if China adds 20 trillion yuan in output, it cannot replace the 200 trillion yuan in wealth destroyed by the real estate collapse. Debt is rising, wealth is shrinking. Yet the government continues to pour money into massive projects driven by outdated thinking. His article vanished shortly after publication. Even China's massive trade surplus, over $1 trillion, may be less impressive than it appears. Analysts describe it as a performance. Fake exports, shell companies, and fabricated invoices inflate the numbers. Goods never leave warehouses, but subsidies are collected and statistics look better. This explains the contradiction. Record surpluses alongside a freezing domestic economy. Then there is the most sensitive question of all: population. Officially, China has 1.4 billion people, but cracks are appearing here too. Some researchers believe the real number is far lower. Demographer Yi Fuxian has long argued that China's population was overstated by tens of millions. School data supports this. In less than 2 decades, the number of elementary schools was cut by more than half. Children did not vanish by accident. Leaked data, declining birth rates, and unexplained excess deaths during the pandemic have fueled even darker questions. Where did the people go? And why does the government resist transparency so fiercely? The answer, according to experts, lies in incentives. Local governments inflate figures to secure funding. Departments manipulate statistics to justify their existence. Over time, false data becomes the foundation of national strategy. And once that happens, mistakes compound until they become irreversible. Across China, videos of empty cities, abandoned apartments, and silent streets continue to circulate online. The myth of an endless consumer market is fading. Global companies are quietly reassessing their exposure. Some are leaving, others are preparing to. In the end, the deepest pain is not felt by those who adjust the numbers. It is felt by ordinary people searching for work, dignity, and survival. History has shown this again and again. Prosperity built on illusion cannot last. When reality finally asserts itself, the reckoning is swift. From ghost towns to glowing satellites, from censored economists to unpaid workers, the truth is leaking out from every crack. And when the gap between propaganda and lived reality becomes too wide to bridge, transformation becomes inevitable. Taken together, these signals point to one unavoidable conclusion. China's economy is no longer slowing. It is structurally collapsing. Growth driven by debt has reached its limit, consumption has broken down, and exports can no longer carry the entire system. Real estate, finance, manufacturing, technology, and local government finances are all failing at the same time. This is not a temporary downturn or a normal economic cycle. It is the result of years of distorted incentives, falsified data, and political control overriding economic reality. When every major pillar weakens simultaneously, recovery is no longer a matter of policy. It becomes mathematically impossible. What makes this collapse more dangerous is that it is hidden behind statistics, censorship, and propaganda. While official numbers still claim stability, real businesses are shutting down, workers are losing income, and households are cutting back on basic spending. Confidence has evaporated, and without confidence, no economy can function. History shows that systems built on false data always fail suddenly, not gradually. China has now reached that inflection point. The collapse may not explode overnight, but it is spreading quietly, relentlessly, and across every sector until denial itself becomes the final casualty. We will continue to watch this moment closely, because when China changes, the world changes with it. This has been China Truce. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more, and we will see you next time.
Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We will keep reporting on the COVID surge in China, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos. And thank you for tuning in.